So we talked about a couple of things today. We've talked about the eviction moratorium that got kicked down the road just because of what's been going on with COVID. We have a Delta variant that's on the rise. And more importantly, we have two guys that have established a business that couldn't have come at a better timing. Why do I say that? I say that because if you're looking to go out and get a COVID test today, good luck trying to get one anytime less than a few hours of waiting in a line at a park, at a doctor's office, at a hospital. And better yet, if you're trying to get an appointment to go to a pharmacy, you might not get one for a day or two. So today on the show, I have Sanjay and Mike Collins from COVID Testing LLC. Guys, thanks for being on the show. For those of you who are just tuning in, I just wanted to introduce you my two friends. Guys, tell us a little bit about your business once again, and why did you guys start this business? Because you couldn't have found a better time to start this business than literally today.
I appreciate the question, Dawood. So the business was very simply started on premise that Sanjay and I decided that we wanted to find a better way to serve the community. And the best way we could serve the community was with speed.
Correct.
Now, I have a manufacturing background in lean manufacturing. With Sanjay's business acumen, I mean, it was a perfect complement that we could find a very rapid way to test. And like you said, that's what it was all about, using lean principles, the drive-in, drive-through, drive-out, using technology to support it, and using a multitasking staff that allowed us that efficiency of process. People were waiting for 2-3 days, and we were able to produce a result in, at that time, 1-2 days.
Correct.
Now we're producing results in 30 minutes, 15 minutes, and 10 minutes.
And guys, take it as
getting people back, getting people back to work and kids back to school and traveling community back traveling. It's truly a service to the community.
Yeah.
And you can't provide a better service than by providing it with efficiency, with accuracy, and with time. Meaning the quickest time, speed. I needed to get a test done, couldn't wait to find out. I had a lot of clients in town. I had people that were coming onto the radio show. I needed to get my life in order. I didn't have the luxury of 2 or 3 days to wait for a test. I went out to one of your testing sites. I didn't only get the PCR test, but I also got the antigen test as well too. If you're listening in, once again, COVID Testing LLC does 3 types of tests on their premises. They have locations all throughout Orlando that do the antibody test, the PCR test, as well as the antigen test. Guys, my question to you is, what levels of positivity have you begun to see since the beginning of the pandemic? And in your opinion, have they gone up? Have they stayed the same? Or are you seeing a trend going downwards as more and more people are getting vaccinated? And more importantly, the hospitals are being able to better treat these people that are getting ill?
I think we're seeing a positivity rate fluctuate. I mean, obviously, 4 months ago, we saw it spike, and then it did decline when the society was a little more conscious and masks were out and worn, and people were more conscious, right? And with the Delta variant emerged a spike, certainly. And I think because of the convenience of the testing and what we offer, we're seeing more tests being taken.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, that's very true. I mean, we're also saw variances between the locations as well, believe it or not. From the north, we're up in the Villages, Lady Lake area, where we saw some higher levels, I've got to say, than down in the Orlando area.
I wonder why that is.
I think there's a less desire to be vaccinated up there, to be perfectly honest. So we're certainly there and helping serve that community as well. We're encouraging them to get vaccinated. We're encouraging them to get those tests. But down here, we certainly saw that dip, and now it's climbing back up. And we're just happy to be able to help and serve the folks as fast as we can.
So, since you guys are literally on the front lines, what's the best piece of advice that you can give, very specific to your experience, that can actually help people stay safe, prevent this virus from spreading, and do the right thing so that more and more people can come back to a normalcy in terms of the life that we were living literally a few weeks ago?
Well, I'll start, and then Sanjay, please contribute. I mean, the first thing is, don't take your advice from Facebook. How about that one? Let's start with that. So, there's been definitely too much fear mongering and misinformation and a lot of confusion out there. So for sure, using masks, absolutely. This is a respiratory transfer. So using masks is important. Sanitizing has never stopped being important. You need to use sanitization. Social distancing as well, especially, of course, if you're unmasked. So what that's clearly something that should be used. Obviously there's no mystery that using certain supplements like D, C, and zinc have seen that's an improvement, but also just making sure that we understand how COVID works. COVID works and loves and thrives on stale air. So that's why they recommend keep the windows open, keep that fresh air going. I mean, if you're around an environment where there's heavy smoke, that creates a staleness in the air. So we are certainly not here to advocate for someone smoking or not smoking, but we're just giving counsel that if you're around that kind of environment, just understand that becomes more of an incubation for the very virus itself.
So you guys have not only shared with us the services that you're able to provide, the ability for people to go out and get tested immediately with test results coming at lightning speed, literally 10 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on the types of tests that you're looking for. You've shared all the locations that you guys have with us, but what else do you guys have in store for whatever it is that you guys are doing as well too?
Yeah, we've got some exciting products. I mean, we're constantly thinking about what's next, right? To stay ahead. We've got two very exciting products that we're launching that are very applicable to keeping the community safe. And we've got Mike's going to elaborate a little bit more about the platforms. Go ahead.
Yeah. So one is, if you think about it from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, if you walked into a house, there was the revolutionary suddenly introduction of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide testers.
Correct. Well,
and nowadays when you buy a house, you'd probably be not purchasing the house if it didn't have it, right? Because it became a safety prevention. There's great companies out there offering security with sensors on windows, sensors on doors.
Correct.
But I always say, that's dealing with the assailant you can see. What about the assailant you can't see, meaning COVID?
Correct.
So clearly, as we progress out of this pandemic, we're going to want to make sure that we stay protected as a community. So we're working with a device right now. We have exclusive rights on this device that can be used in houses, dwellings, confined areas. And it literally is the COVID killer, the sanitization device for properties. We have it running at trials right now in, I think, 8 or 9 businesses throughout the Orlando area. We're going to be launching soon a smaller version, which can be used for rental cars, for ride shares and so forth.
That's a great idea.
Thing which allows us to sanitize and make sure that you're COVID-free.
That is a great idea, especially for the amount of people that are coming to visit us here in the Orlando area. We all know that in 2019, we had numbers for tourists that came to visit our beautiful city that hit over 78 million people. And of course, Orlando started to flourish as the vacation rental properties started to allow for tourists to come and start to use these properties. And we started to see more and more people that if they decided that they wanted to quarantine, they were going to start to quarantine here in Orlando at one of these vacation homes versus being stuck at a little condo in up north somewhere in the middle of the winter. So we started to see a positive trend with regards to tourists coming back. And this is a question that I want to direct over to you, Sanjay, as well too. We've known each other for a long time. You've catered to the tourism and amusement park industry for as long as I've known you. What are the trends that you're seeing with regards to COVID, with the Delta variant coming back? Do you think we're going to get a dip in tourism here? Do you think with all of the testing and the vaccination that we're getting, we're going to still start to see all of our numbers rising back again as we've started to see that? Because I've made a prediction over and over again. My feeling is if we hit numbers of 2019 of over 78 million. I'm guessing as and when the borders open and we start to take a little bit more control over this Delta variant, we should probably start to see people coming back to Orlando and hitting numbers of over 80 to 85 million. What are your thoughts on that?
I definitely, first and foremost, I think the protocols that all the theme parks have been taken have been phenomenal. They're always mindful about keeping the community safe and keeping their guests safe, right? So we are seeing an influx of increased, attendance, in the various theme parks throughout Central Florida and throughout the country. We're starting to see spikes, and a lot of that's driven by domestic travel. The international traveler is soft for sure. There's countries that aren't really allowing people to leave as freely, and obviously we're closely monitoring. There's been whispers and rumors about a lot of the tourists that come in, international tourists that come in, are going to be required to be vaccinated in order to come in. So we're starting to hear hints of that with the Biden administration. So we're being very mindful. But the key factor is it's controlled. Absolutely. We're more mindful of it. You see hand sanitizer stations all throughout the parks, which is great. And again, they're doing a great job of controlling it. It is a very difficult task, right? To deal with this situation as a whole, the pandemic. But we've done it nicely. The theme parks have done it nicely. And, we encourage that as well. And we're very supportive of our theme park partners.
And it's really,
go ahead.
It kind of links into, again, back to your original question, what's next? We're partnering with them. We're partnering with others, including cruise ships and so forth, to think about how we can apply the same logic of efficiency and speed to it, because you don't want to have long lines now at a theme park with testing protocols. So we're really working aggressively to think how we can make it as normal can be post-pandemic, but also make sure they're safe and the precautions still stay in place. So we're applying those same COVID Testing LLC brand logic to cruise ships and so forth.
Listen, if you're out driving around today thinking about getting a test, a COVID test of any kind, antigen, antibody, PCR test, you heard it here first. COVIDtestingllc.com is where you're going to want to go and visit so that you can get your test results back in 10 to 30 minutes right away. You don't have to wait in line.
Add to that, Dawood, for your listeners, Mike and I want to offer a 10% discount for if they mention discount code Dawood and your radio show.
Just call in, just say Real Sense Now when you get there, and you'll get a 10% discount when you get there. Guys, I got to check out right here. Tune us next week, 6:60 a.m., 105.5. This is Dawood Bedrosian with Real Sense Now. Catch you next weekend.